Thanks for tuning in, guys. So, jumping right into it, what do I mean by tactical visualization? Well, we all visualize. We either daydream about the future or we think about the past. And at the end of the day, those are habits. And what we want to do now is to create new habits, new neural pathways, which can serve us into creating the life that we want to live. And so, how do we do that? We start by creating experiences of how we would like to be within. And then the more we get into that, the more our outer reality has to match, has to become a magnet to what we want to create. So you can kind of think of it as law of attraction. You can think of it as, saying affirmations and things like that. But how do we actually do that? It's nice to know that, okay, that is possible, but how do you actually go about doing that? So this is something that I've been learning for the last over a year through this school called Self-Concept. And what they do is they take NLP practices, neuro-linguistic programming practices, take all the tools that NLP offers, and create a framework for how people can tactically change their lives. Not only tactically, but dependably change their life as well. So what I'm going to do is start off small by sharing these videos, and each one of them is going to have a new technique that you can practice and you can put into practice immediately. And I am not going to promise that one of these practices is going to work. What I am going to promise is that if you do the series of videos that I'm going to put out, one of them potentially could work. So the idea is that for some people, some technique could really move the needle. For other people, another technique might move the needle. In this setting where I'm not working with anyone one-on-one, I won't know what works and what doesn't. And so you can't dismiss what I'm putting out today as something that didn't work for you, so the rest of the videos won't work either. Yeah? So try out what works for you, see what resonates with you, and then for something that works, double down on it. Repeat it so that you start to create these new mental pathways, neural pathways within your mind that you can dependably count on to change. Yeah? So let's dive in before I explain too much. This is what I mean by tactical visualization. So I come from a background of NLP and also hypnotherapy. And all that is understanding that you have the power to create the situations that you want within you. And once you know that you can do that, then the external world follows. Yeah? So the first thing we're going to do today in this video is I'm going to go over the concept of submodalities and lead you guys through a practice if you are willing to try this out. So what do I mean by submodalities? So submodalities is basically a fancy word to say that when we think of an experience, when we think of an event, when we think of a person or whatever it is, we tend to have a characterization, we tend to have a way in which we think of that experience or person or event or situation or whatever, right? So for example, when I think of, let's say, something that was important to me or something that I really loved, like for example, having a beautiful moment with my family, let's say. I was thinking about this last year. So, okay, so when I think of this moment, there is a way in which our mind brings that to us, brings that forth, that we are now going to focus in on and understand what that is like. So for example, when I think of this event, okay, I see my family, I see myself, and then I see the surroundings. I see where we're at. I see that we were in the park. I see what's happening there. I hear the birds chirping. I feel this groundedness, this feeling in my heart. And so when I think of that image, when I think of that situation, this is what comes to mind for me. And that is for a positive or an experience that I value. Whereas if I bring to mind an experience which I did not value, or where I labeled it as a negative experience, I might think of it differently. I might think of it as just a snapshot. I might think of it as just black and white. I might think of it as I might not hear anything. I might not have a feeling, or I might feel tightness in my shoulder, or shortness of my breath. So the way that our mind brings forth a positive experience or a negative experience can help give us clues to how to shift a negative experience, including potentially the one you're in right now, to shift it into a positive experience. It gives us a template for what to shift into. And there's a big thing that people need to overcome, which is, okay, I'm changing the stuff in my mind. How will that change what's happening in the real world? Well, for one, I would say, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose if you try it out? Number two, the way our minds process information can give us so many insights about what are unconscious processes which have not been serving us, and how can we bring those to our conscious attention so that we can work on it, retool, reframe it, and then have them recede back into unconscious processes that now work for us. Let's try it out before I over-explain. So what I'd like you guys to do, especially for some of you who have mentioned that you are running into challenges in your life and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. So this is what I would recommend. I'd like you guys to first get present, however you choose to do so. For me, that's taking 3 deep breaths in and out. With each breath out, I release any stress, any tension, anything that I'm holding within my body. And with each breath in, I take in the positive energy around me and I fill up my body with that. Once I feel centered, what I'd like you guys to do, once you feel centered, what I'd like you guys to do is bring to mind, first of all, a situation in which you feel less than resourceful, where you feel like you are not able to be all you can be. And that could be, again, like I said, a situation that you're going through right now, but try to pick a moment. So if you're not exactly feeling so down right now, I'd like you guys to pick a situation that happened maybe sometime in the last 24 hours, maybe sometime in the last week, which is fresh in your mind, where you felt down. And take yourself to that moment. Allow your mind to bring up whatever it can bring up as you imagine this situation. And as you imagine the situation, I'd like you guys to pay attention to how it is represented for you, not what is represented. So what we want to do is move away slowly. I know it's going to take some time, take some practice, but move away from content, what is actually there, to structure. How is it there? Or how is it represented there? Yeah? So I'm going to walk you guys through some questions. And as I do that, pay attention and see if you can make it more, if you can understand how it is more as I'm asking these questions. So imagine the situation. Might be best to close your eyes so that you're not distracted. And first, are you inside the situation as if you are living it through your own body, through your own eyes? Or are you watching yourself from behind or above you? Okay, should be pretty apparent. Next, do you see the situation in front of you? Do you hear anything? And or do you feel something? For many people, they do see something. They see what is happening in front of them as they were in that situation. But for some people, they might not see anything. You might just be hearing things, or you might not even hear things. You might just be feeling something as you imagine yourself experiencing the situation. So I'm going to walk you guys through for one at a time, starting with visual. So we're going to get this more concrete. We're basically taking an unconscious process and making it conscious here. So this is going to take some practice, and I'll be happy to work with any of you guys one-on-one to make sure that this is a skill that you can learn and apply for any part of your life. So visually, are you seeing a panorama, or is it like a narrow field of focus? Is it color? Is it black and white? Is it a moving image? Maybe a few scenes? Or is it a still image? Or maybe is it a series of stills? Next, is it vibrant or is it dull? Is it realistic or does it look kind of pale? Next, we move to auditory. So once you have that clear, just keep that in mind. Now auditory. Did you hear anything or do you hear anything? Allow this, if it's a movie, allow this situation to replay itself over and over. If it's a still, well, keep it in front of you. If you don't see anything, that's fine. Now, auditory, do you hear anything as you're replaying this? Or do you hear anything as you're imagining this? Do you hear voices? Do you hear your own voice? Is it loud or is it soft? Is it shrill or is it low? Is it coming from a certain direction? Some people hear more out of their left ear or their right ear, or is it coming equally? Just pay attention. Next, kinesthetic. Do you feel anything within your body as you are imagining the situation? If so, where in your body do you feel it? Is it in your heart? Is it in your hands? Is it in your face? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your feet? And if so, how would you describe it? Is it cold or is it warm? Is it light or is it heavy? And if you could give it a color, is there a color that's associated with this feeling? Is it a shape? Is it just a sphere, or is there a certain shape to it? Is there a texture to it? Is it rough or is it smooth? And roughly how large is this feeling? Is it contained within your body or is it expansive beyond? Again, just notice what's coming up. Now that you have an idea of how your mind represents an experience in which you did not feel resourceful, we want to shift that to an experience where we do feel resourceful. So what I'd like you to do is put this image, this sound, whatever, this feeling, put it off to the side. If you're feeling uncomfortable, push it off to a location where it does not feel uncomfortable to you anymore. Now we shift our attention to understanding the template of what we want to switch this to. Okay, so I'd like you guys to think of a time in your life, it could be recent, it could be further back in the past, where you felt resourceful, where you felt fully able to do anything, where you felt maybe the opposite of what you were feeling yesterday. You felt maybe fully in love, maybe you felt fully free, maybe you felt abundant, maybe you felt peaceful and calm. Think of a time where you felt that feeling very strongly. Now, as you imagine the situation, pay attention again to the submodalities. I'm going to walk you guys through again the questions. And this time, it might be a good idea, if you cannot remember all of them, to pause this video and write down how it's represented for you. And this way, when you do this meditation again, when you do this exercise again on your own time, you can just look at that template and say, okay, I'm just going to switch this, just going to switch this, just going to switch this. Okay, so you don't have to listen to me talk for so long. Okay, all right. So as you imagine this experience where you felt fully in your power, where you felt fully alive, or however you'd like to describe this experience, which was of utmost importance to you and you place a lot of value on, think of how it represents for you. So first, visually, are you inside, experiencing it through your body, or outside, looking at yourself in the situation from above or behind? Next, is it a panoramic view, or is it kind of narrow? Do you see things in color, maybe like real life, or is it black and white? Is it moving? Is it a movie, or is it a still image? Next, auditory. Do you hear anything? Do you hear any voices? Do you hear your voice? Which direction is it coming from? Is it loud? Is it soft? Is it normal? Is it shrill or low-pitched? Next, kinesthetic. What do you feel, if you feel anything, in your body? If so, where do you feel it? And how would you describe this feeling? Is it cold? Is it hot? Is it light, or is it heavy? Is there a color to this? Is there a shape to this? Is there a texture to this? Rough, fuzzy, smooth. Is there a size to this? Is it contained within your body, or does it expand beyond? So now that you have this template, what I'd like you guys to do is again bring up this other image or sound or feeling and have them be side by side. What I'd like you to do is I'm going to walk you through one by one. I'd like you to shift the submodalities, the small details in how you are representing your negative experience, and shift it into the template of the positive experience. So let's try this out. So starting with the visual, if there's a difference there in you being within or observing yourself from without, shift that. Jump in or jump out. If it's a panoramic view, observe that and shift it as needed. Or if it's panoramic or narrow, switch it up to what the template is based off of. Color or black and white, shift that. Moving or still image, shift that. Next, sounds. Was there a different direction to where you heard sounds if you did hear sounds? Was the sound coming from within or from behind or from the left or the right? Was it your voice or someone else's voice? Shift that. High, medium, low pitch, shift that. And then, feeling in your body. Was there a difference in how you felt imagining these two situations? If so, shift those submodalities as well. Shift the feeling to where you were feeling it in the template, the positive experience. Was there a color? Shift the color. Was there a size? Shift the size. Size difference. Shift the size. Was there a texture difference? Shift that. Was there a temperature difference, cool or warm? Was there a size difference? I already said that. Heavy or light? Did one feel heavy, one feel light? Shift that. And as you do this, you might notice your breathing start to change. You might notice your posture being different. Now, this is just the first step, and this might not cure all of your external situations, but if we're able to at least look at things in a more resourceful state within, you never know what could happen without. Yeah, what I'm going to do in the next few videos is I'm going to add to this and see which ones of these are really going to make the difference for you. And I'm going to start with anchoring. I'm going to start with adding internal resources. I'm going to, from there, go to shifting based off of jumping into other people's positions. And so, like, when we do these things, one of them will click. I cannot guarantee anything, but I can promise that you will have some shift, and my goal is to help you guys have a permanent shift. Not just like, okay, I feel better for a few hours or for a couple days, but like, how can we make this shift permanent? So I hope this was useful. Try it out for maybe a different situation and see how this works for you. Please give me any comments on how I can improve, and if you guys would like for me to lead you through these sessions on a one-on-one basis, I'd be happy to do that. The first session is free, and I just really love doing this stuff. So I hope this was useful again. Take care, guys. I hope you have an awesome day out there. Cheers.